Amazing. Okay, hello. Welcome back to the Good Talkers podcast. I am Deanna Cooney, and I am joined by my beautiful Good Talkers team. Ashton Haugen, how are you, darling?
I'm wonderful. How are you?
I'm great. I'm really good. Tessa Livingston, how's it going?
Oh, we're doing fabulous, Deanna. Fabulous.
Great. And producer Jordan, how's things
What's
hanging?
up, homies?
Yeah. Yeah, we're here to do the good talk about all things voiceover. And today we are talking about a topic that is quite near and dear to all of us and all of you as well, definitely. We've touched on it briefly before, but today we are going to dig a little deeper into the fact that voiceover is not a get-rich-quick scheme. This shit is a marathon, people. There is no quick turnover of this stuff, right? Like, I literally was talking to one of my students today who first started training with me 3 years ago. I think it was 3 years ago. And at that point, he was 6 years into a career doing really well in like e-learning and corporate, but definitely wanted to expand into commercial, right? So he came and did some training with me, and he's been training with me since. And in the last 6 months, he's really hit his strides. And now he's really busy and really diversified. But that's how long it takes, right? It's really rare that someone just like pops up and suddenly is doing awesomely. Like, it's just sort of not a thing. It's one of those things like a duck swimming, you know, like you see someone being successful, but there's all of this action going on underneath. Right. And it's been going on for quite a long time, you know. So the thing that we're specifically going to talk about today is articles that kind of seem to pop up all the time, right? And you see like you see ads for it and courses and articles and different bits and pieces saying, you know, people leaving their 9-to-5s and signing up on Upwork or Fiverr or whatever, and suddenly they're earning like thousands of dollars a month consistently, month after month, and they're on 150K a year just doing voiceover on Upwork, right? So look, you may have noticed from my tone of voice that I'm quite disdainful of all of those kinds of things. I think it's fucked up rubbish, right?
Well, yeah.
The thing is, right, it does happen to some people. Right. And this is a way that it goes. I have a friend over here in Perth who graduated from the WA Academy of Performing Arts, went and saw an engineer over here, a producer, got in the booth. He's got an amazing, beautiful voice. He's one of those people that has a beautiful voice, and he's got acting chops. He just spent 3 years in an acting degree. Right. And he recorded some stuff with this engineer, and 6 months later, he was voicing national campaigns all over the place. He literally in 12 months went from no voiceover to earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, right?
Wow, good.
But he's
good
one person that I've seen this happen to in 25 years, right? That doesn't mean it hasn't happened to more people, but I'm not seeing lots of it, you know? So it's actually really, really uncommon.
It's kind of, yeah, it's very uncommon. But the thing that drives me just batty is that I see all of these like clickbaity videos on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok of literally the people saying, hey, do you want to earn $400 an hour to read from your bed? Well, you know what I mean? I can show you how.
I've never read anything from my bed.
Real. That's not real. That's
No.
not how it happens. Like, okay, yes, we do get to work from home. Well, I'm working from my parents' home currently. I'm currently in my parents' walk-in closet because I'm house sitting for them. One of the perks of this job is that I can do that. Awesome. But no, I don't just get to handed $400 an hour to pick up a book and read from my bed out loud.
No.
It's not how
It's not a thing.
it
Does,
works.
but also it's not just that's not how it works. That's not a thing, right? No one's making $400 an hour reading a book unless they're on OnlyFans and someone's watching their toes at the same time.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
and I'm not disparaging like sex workers or porn or any of that kind of stuff, right? Make your money however the fuck you want to make your money, right?
Yeah.
More power to everybody, right? But nobody's reading a children's book and earning $400 an hour sitting in their bed. For starters, you can't get a fucking microphone in there. It doesn't work, right? Bedroom, different thing. I'm in my bedroom right now, right? And the whole pajamas concept, wear your pajamas to work, it's actually really good because the pajamas don't make noise.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But there's
Yes.
lots of clothes that are really noisy. But there's this conflation of you can be in your house, you can be in your bedroom, you can be in your pajamas, you can be reading things, right? And sometimes people do make $400 an hour reading things from their bedroom in their pajamas. But it's not like this in bed, on your phone, just read some shit and someone will give you some money. It's just not a thing, you know?
No, it's not a thing. And it drives me crazy because I feel like there's been such an influx of these get rich quick videos during the pandemic when it's like I feel like people are getting preyed upon by these quote
Yes.
unquote content creators that have said like, oh yeah, you can do this when they haven't even obviously done it. And I feel like the trap is a lot of times that places like where I started, ACX, which is the Audiobook Creation Exchange. It's run by Amazon. It's available in America, where you can audition for to do audiobooks by independent authors. Really great program. And then you negotiate your own contract, and the contracts are between, like, they say it's $50 per finished hour up to, $400+ per finished hour. And so these quote unquote content creators just look at that. They haven't even done it. And then they just put out these clickbait videos and encourage people to buy a microphone and do all this stuff when that's not even where you start. You got to start with training if you wanted to be a voice actor. Like, that's not even, you can't even just go out and buy a microphone. Do not just do that. It's
No,
not
don't.
good. You're going to be wasting your money. Start with training and then see how that goes.
Yeah. And look, the other thing is as well, that whole per finished hour is a really valid thing to take note of,
Yeah.
like that is not $400 or no, it's not $50 either per hour of sitting there reading stuff. It's $50 per completed hour of audio that's been recorded, edited, all the mistakes have been taken out, all of the breaths have been taken out, it's been mastered,
Yeah.
right? Like the whole thing has happened, all of the editing and production, because they're different things, right? Editing is about taking things out and changing structure. Production is about the mastering process where you sweeten the sound and make it sound lovely with your EQ and your compression and all of the different bits and pieces that you do to it, right? That's a lot of work. It's something like 1 to 4.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
Like 1 hour of recording translates into about 4 hours of work if you're good, if you're experienced,
If you
you're
have practice.
fast, right?
Yeah.
If you're new, it might be 1 to 8. Right? So your $50 per finished hour is actually whatever 50 is divided by 8.
Which
I don't know what that
is
is.
practically
$6
nothing.
something, right?
Yeah, it's nothing. You'll get paid nothing.
$8
You know what
something.
I mean?
I don't know. Maths, not my strong suit. Someone else pull out a calculator, work that out.
And that's what I
It's-
find so
it's not enough
difficult
money.
about this. It's not enough money.
It's not enough
at
money.
all.
That's what it is.
funny.
Nobody gives a shit what the number is. It's not enough.
It's not enough. Like, the thing is, because, if you can read inside your head really fast, good on you. That's awesome. That's an amazing skill. Well done. Excellent. Translating onto actual words out loud and not getting them wrong all the time is an absolute skill.
Yeah.
Being able to read and make sure that you get every single word correct is incredibly hard. And I don't
Not
think
to
people...
mention maintaining character, maintaining storyline, and maintaining vocal quality, right? Because as soon as you get fatigued, projection drops, pitch changes, pacing changes, right? And that's just vocal fatigue. Add in mental fatigue from the concentration levels that are required to be sight reading and tracking yourself as you go and like editing as you go, dropping in, doing your punch and roll stuff. There's so much to think about that even an hour's worth of that kind of work, if you are not like trained, and by trained, I don't just mean, oh, you've learnt the skills. I mean, you've done the time in front of the microphone and you've built up your muscles. You've done the practice to build up your endurance. An hour of that, if you don't have that endurance, is going to knock you flat on your ass.
I did an hour of reading today for something else, for like a medical thing. Great, wonderful. Was fucking exhausted by the end of it because I don't do audiobooks. And so like this, this thing, which by the way was 10 minutes of script, and it took me an hour to do that and then edit. And I actually wasn't allowed to edit. All I was allowed to do was take out my own breaths and then I had to send through the raw material. So I haven't even done the full per
Production stuff.
I haven't even done that. And that took me an hour, and what are people thinking that we are doing in these spaces? I have feelings
Well,
about it. I don't know.
like I said, it's the people who are putting out these articles and the people who are putting out these videos are often not the people even in the industry. But they're convincing people to try to get into the industry when they themselves have no knowledge of the actual industry. And it's just kind of crazy and also very sad to me for people who have like fallen for it.
Yeah, that's the worst bit. It's the
Yeah.
worst bit,
Yeah.
right? Like the idea of people like putting in money and putting in time, right, is it's sad if that doesn't work out the way you want it to. But that's sort of life, right? Like if you want to try something out, you have to commit to putting in some effort, right? And that might mean some financial investment, it might mean some time investment. But preying on someone's misconceptions and dreams and ideas
And hopes.
and hopes and that's abusive as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
I think that's
Yeah.
awful.
And also, like, especially in a time when the world isn't so great, things are getting expensive, people are losing their jobs, there is all kinds of stuff going on. And then to get somebody to do something thinking it's going to help them out financially and then all of a sudden it crashes and burns, I don't understand how people can actually do that to other people. That I find
Yes.
that so upsetting.
Yeah.
And I feel like there's a bit of that goes on. This might be a little bit of a tangent, but we'll see if it is or isn't. We can wrap it back around if it is. Is that so? I got an email last night from somebody who knows somebody. I didn't know that at the time, but they know someone who knows someone I know, and so they contacted me, and it just said, female voiceover talent needed. And my initial thought was, oh, this is a scam. My initial thought wasn't, oh my goodness, somebody has emailed me, because I've now been doing this just long enough to go, oh, actually there is more scamming around than I ever thought there was.
Yeah.
And so, I've got like a couple of questions that I ask them now before I even start talking about whether I'll do the job or not, because that just kind of feels like that's the buzz going around now. It's like that one that went around TikTok a while ago. It was a guy doing one, and it came through a pay-to-play platform. And it was the most thought out, insane scam.
It looked
Wow.
so
Ever.
real.
It looked so real. Real websites, real numbers, real, like everything, and to the point where they went to pay and then everything fell through there. Like it was right at the last second, and people are really worried about this sort of thing. So it kind of feels like stop pushing. I don't know. I don't know how to fully articulate what I'm thinking, but what I'm thinking is that I'm frustrated. I think.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah.
it's that both of those situations this is kind of scammy.
Yes.
I mean, to do these quick rich, like, clickbaity, preying on people's, almost misfortunes is very scammy. And they're doing it to get the clicks and to get the views so that they can get money. It is very scammy. It's a scammy thing that these people are doing so that they can get money through means of views and attention through social media.
But the trouble is,
it's
what
not
they're
okay.
also doing is setting up a culture around
Yeah.
the idea, right? They're absolutely contributing to a social perspective on what this job is, and what it involves and what actually you need to put into it to get anything good out of it.
Yeah, and it feels like it's taking the joy away to get an email, because that person actually turned out to be true, who emailed me, which was really exciting. But but in the initial thoughts, it wasn't, oh yay, somebody wants to work with me. It was like, oh fuck, I've got to deal with this person. Like it's taking the joy out of spontaneous, people messaging you to do work with them. It's not a fun process.
I don't know if we can get rid of it though, because it's
Oh,
kind
no.
of humans. Do you know what I
Yeah.
mean? And it's
Yeah.
the internet.
Yeah.
Like these are the things that we have to deal with when we're dealing with people and internet. It's
Yeah.
just, so I think that, it taking the joy out of it is definitely a thing to think about, but also something that you probably don't want to buy into too much either,
Yeah.
because then it's affecting your experience,
Yeah.
which is a bit shitty,
It is a bit shitty, but that just teaches us to focus on the things that are the good
Yeah.
things, because that is what I did. I just acknowledged in my brain the first thing that popped in, and I went, oh, that was interesting. That was interesting that was my first response to this, and then continued on that way. But yeah, it's just it's a curious thing for us all to think about and to try and ignore maybe.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Well, sort of, right? Like
Sort of.
ignore as in be aware of the fact that it's there and try not to let it impact you too much.
Yeah.
You know, like, and I'm a big fan of like when we see this stuff, sharing it with our network and sharing it with our people so that we can go, this shit, this is, ignore this. Don't pay attention to this. Don't even let this come into the realms of what you're considering when you're approaching this. And to be honest, it's the same everywhere, right? Like I actively engage in business coaching, and the amount of like information that gets tossed at me about like different opportunities and how much I should be making a month and like, oh, look, this person implemented this system and now they're on like 50K months every month, rah, 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 right? Like, so it kind of happens everywhere. And it's our job as people engaging in this space to become critical in our analysis of what it is that we're looking at and what we're choosing to engage with.
Right. What you just said kind of reminded me of those commercials, those infomercials they used to show late at night in like the 90s of, if you buy this set of VHS tapes about how to sell real estate, then, you know, you can be rich like this guy and live on a yacht. You know what I mean? Like that's what it used to be. And like now I feel like voiceover, like this is like trying to be that new thing. It's not a new thing, but it's just new for this industry.
Yes, it's a very old process. It's a very old like process or approach to you know, pulling people into a space or selling services or whatever it is. You know, it's existed forever. It's just that we're seeing it show up in this voiceover land.
Yeah, and that's what those people say at the end of these clickbaity, scammy, get rich quick on voiceover things is they say, hey, reach out to me and I'll tell you how to do it. You know what I mean? And they're not doing it for free. You know, they're telling you how to do it for a fee.
Yeah.
There's
no from the goodness of my heart going on here, you know. So I think it's really interesting that we, you know, I want to make sure that people understand, like our lovely podcast crew peeps, that we're not trying to put people off from pursuing this career by talking about this, right? And by saying, hey, it's hard, right? Like breaking into the industry is hard, booking your first job is hard, being your own business person is hard, right?
Oh, it's so
Building
hard.
a client base is hard, right? Having a business is hard. But this isn't about like saying, and it's too hard, you shouldn't do it at all. It's more about, I think, bringing people's awareness to the fact that, it's hard and you have to work, so don't get sucked into the idea that it's going to happen quickly, right? You know? I think that's really, really important. Do we want to talk about those things, you know, that breaking into the industry is hard and booking your first job is hard and being in business is hard and building a rotating and consistent client base, that's hard as well, right? Do we want to talk about that a bit?
We can talk about we can talk about whatever. This is our podcast. We can talk about whatever we want.
Let's talk about that. So, Tessa, what was breaking into the industry like for you? You know, I actually hate that, by the way, breaking into the industry, because it implies that you push and push and push and push and push and you find a little hole and a crack and then you break in. But it's not what happens.
Yes, I've arrived.
Right? You don't like kick down a door and go, I'm here, right? Like it's...
Give me money.
Give me your money, right?
Well, that's essentially what I did. I just went in there, kicked down a door. Now I'm here. Look.
So how did you enter the industry? What was the process like for you?
Well, it was a longer process. So, like we explained it in our Who Are We episode. But you know, it was I didn't choose to do this initially. I did my speech pathology thing. I did my acting thing, and
but when you decided that voiceover was something that you wanted to do, how did you think about approaching starting and finding your first clients or getting your first gig?
Well, I had the idea that if I had an agent, I was going to make all the money in the world because that's what I had Ashton's like laughing at me.
Yes, an agent will solve everything.
That's what I thought. In my early days, I was really naive about it, and I was really disappointed, Ashton, when I met you, and you're like, you have to work hard and do freelancing and do these and do these. And I went,
you don't have to do those
No, you don't
things,
have to, but that was when we did our voiceover beginners course for the first time, a lot of the information that you shared was brand new to me. And I was like,
Wow.
what the fuck is this? I have to do so much. But genuinely, that's what I thought when I first started. And Ashton, your information was so helpful because it just, helped to, clear out those cobwebs of, if I have an agent, I'm going to make money all the time. That's not true. That's not true in the slightest. So my approach was get an agent. Which I did, and in some ways it's been really positive because it gave me the confidence to be like, you picked up an agent without lots of digging into what voiceover is and all of that sort of stuff. But it's also been a real hindrance because it gave me a confidence boost in the sense that there's a lot of things I need to work on.
Bit of a false sense of security.
A bit of a false sense of security. Yeah, absolutely. Thinking I was going to get a gig every week and it was going to be amazing. That's not how it's been at all. So that whole sense, you're totally right, Deanna, that sense of having to break into the industry is not what it is. That's what I thought I was trying to achieve. I was trying to achieve my break. And I thought that when I got because I did a voiceover for Air New Zealand, that was sort of one of my earlier ones. I went, I've made it. Air New Zealand's going to make me their brand and I'm this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
No.
Doesn't happen that way.
No.
It used to, right?
Yeah.
Like back in the olden days, right, when I first started doing voiceover, there weren't very many voiceovers around. So you kind of did break in, right? Once you like got in, and once you were in, if you got in, that's it. You worked lots, right? Because there weren't very many people around. But it's not like that anymore. It's a slow burn now.
Yes.
You don't like just hit the ground and show up and everyone hires you. Well, not very often. Like I said early about the story about my friend, sometimes that does happen. But it's super, super, super rare. So you can't rely on that. Actually, you've got to everything is just a step on the path, right? So getting an agent, if that's what you want to do, is a step on the path. Booking that first job through your agent is a step on the path. But it's one of those situations where you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket, because that's not how the space works anymore.
And I feel like a lot of times I'm in class with a lot of people and I'm doing, a lot of networking and things like that with a lot of newer voice actors. And I think there's a misconception that oh, well, once I get signed to an agency, once I land an agent, I'll have it made. But the truth is, once you land that agency, now you have to step up your game even more because you are competing with people who have been in the industry 25 years. And there's no oh, well, they're a beginner. We'll give them a break. No, that's
no
not.
No oil plates. They do not exist.
They don't even, they don't exist. It's either you're right for the job or you're not right for the job. There's no beginners in voiceover. And not in the the actual talent buying category. There's no beginners. So it's interesting to me that people think that it's not uncommon for you to have that misconception, Tessa, that you think, once I land an agent, I'm going to be made in the shade, because that's not true. A lot of people don't even land a job with their agency for sometimes a year, and it's a lot of rejection. It's a lot of hearing no. It's a lot of hearing no. It's a lot of pounding the pavement. And for me personally, it's a lot of doing things that are not what I would call the sexy jobs, the jobs that everybody wants, the jobs that, what I mean? It's not a lot of, oh, I get to do this awesome animation. It's a lot of, I get to voice this medical thing, and I get to do the IVR for these, dealerships, and I get to do, it's a lot of that type of stuff, which is still great, but it's not as easy as everybody thinks it is what it boils down to.
So I got two things that I want to say about that. The first is that those unsexy jobs actually make up an extraordinarily high component of your income. They just do. Those are the jobs that roll over and keep going, and they're the ones you want to nurture, right? Every now and again, you get to do something that's a bit high profile, and that's fun, right? That's awesome. You get to wave your hands in the air and go, look at this awesome thing that I did, right? But that's not where most of your money's coming from, right? As a working voiceover talent, most of your money is coming from the small regular jobs that repeat. And that's the bit that's hard to build up, because those big jobs, they hardly ever come along. And if you happen to get cast in it, that's awesome, but it doesn't mean anything for you going forward, because no buyer gives a fuck what you did last. They just don't give a shit. All of your voiceover friends and all of your non-voiceover friends who get to hear your voice on the TV or whatever will be very fucking excited, right? Everyone loves it. But it certainly isn't the foundation of a business unless you've spent time and and built up a reputation, and now you get hired in those spaces all of the time because you're proven and you can do the job, right? So that's the first thing. The second thing is about having an agent, right? Like I have an agent and I get pretty regular work through my agent, but I just had like a 3 or 4 week period where I hardly had any work on, right? So I rang her and went, what's the deal? Have I pissed anyone off? Like, I try really hard not to piss people off. Sometimes it happens anyway, but, not really. But that's what I do. I ring her and I go, hey, what's the deal, right? And she told me that I'd been super, super close to getting a bunch of jobs, one of which was a massive national campaign for a big car company over here in Australia. I was like in the final sort of 3 or 4 people in the selection process. Didn't get it. Didn't hear about it either. And this is the thing about the difference between having an agent and being a freelancer. When you're a freelancer, you know every job you audition for, you know whether you got them or not straight away. Through my agent, I don't even know unless I ask what it is that she's putting me forward for. So I might feel like I'm getting nothing and actually I'm super close to a whole bunch of different things,
Yeah.
or I might be booking lots and lots of things. I only know when I get offered the job, when I get called and said, be in this studio or record this thing,
Yeah. So it's different for me because I am mostly a freelancer. Like I'm on the opposite spectrum of you. And so, yeah, when I say like these unsexy jobs, I do that in quotes because I love my unsexy jobs. Like my unsexy jobs are what are paying the bills. My unsexy jobs are like what I'm counting on right now to help me live my life and to help me, get through to pay the bills and to get through and to let me pursue other things that maybe are a little bit more high profile sometimes. And those things are fun and great too. But I've worked really hard for my quote unquote unsexy jobs, for my normal, clients who give me consistent work and who I count on and they count on me to get their business stuff done too. And so, a lot of times, a lot of voiceovers are like that. You don't realize that maybe the same person that's voicing the drug commercial is also voicing the character in this, anime, who's also voicing the IVR that you heard the other day, who's also voicing, this animation. You don't know. It's because usually voice actors a lot of times do all of those things. And I'm one of them who wants to do all the things. I just want to do all the things.
Yeah.
I think what's so cool in that as well is going, like those little jobs, those unsexy. I love that you've called it. I think that's really it's a fun phrase. I like saying
I didn't come up with that phrase. I stole it from Mike DeLay from Real Voice LA.
Oh, then Mike DeLay. Oh, there goes that buzzword. Real Voice LA. Hi guys, we're talking about you again. Is to go like if you want to do those big commercial jobs, if that's all you want to do, if you want to be working through your agent, that's fine. And if you don't want to do those little jobs, that's fine, but know what else you can do. So like for me, I'm working really hard in diversifying into my teaching and into my coaching skills because I've got a couple of really cool things ticking around in my brain that I go, okay, I love having my agent. Sometimes I find, getting up in the morning and doing auditions, I find that really hard. But do you know what I do love doing? Opening up one of my coaching books or one of my voicing books and reading that and absorbing every piece of information I can because I love teaching as well. So like it's about knowing, I think there's know what you're good at and lean into those things, but don't have too many expectations. Did any of that make sense? I kind of rambled.
That's okay. You can ramble. That's good.
It's our podcast. We're doing it.
It's our podcast.
Ramble. Ramble. That all made sense, by the way. It was fine.
Oh, great. Oh, fantastic.
Yeah. Yes, it's very, very interesting. I think the other thing that people forget about when they see those big articles about, earn $15,000 a month from your bedroom doing voiceover or whatever, right? Or like when they see those, there's nothing in there about what it takes to run a business because you don't earn $15,000 a month doing anything at all, whether it's voiceover or photography or coaching or teaching or plumbing or hanging curtains or paint or fucking anything, right? Without being able to run a business at the same time.
Yeah.
Either you are running the business or you've got somebody doing that for you, right? But
Yes.
it has to happen. There has to be structure, right? In some way, shape, or form. There's administrative shit that has to be done. There's invoicing that has to be done, Like, yeah, do the job, but if you don't send the invoice, you don't fucking get paid anyway, right?
Yeah.
So, like, all of that stuff still has to happen. And that's a really important thing to consider before you jump into something like this. Are you prepared and ready to run a business? To be a sole trader, to be a freelancer, to do all of the things, wear all of the hats that go with actually being able to generate income and do useful, reasonable things with it.
Yeah, and I think if the people who are watching those videos and putting their hopes into these, do the voiceover thing for $15,000 a month, if they knew that you had to also run a business, I think a lot of them would run.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people know that that's the hard part is it's not just, getting handed a bunch of stuff for doing nothing. No one gets handed money for doing nothing. Nobody. So you got to run your own business. You got to do your stuff. And it's sad that those, it's just a shame that those people are preying on these people. It drives me crazy.
Yeah, I think a certain amount of responsibility also sits with the people who are falling victim to this shit as well.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's got to be a certain mentality in place before you will buy into the idea of a get-rich-quick scheme.
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, that's true.
I think something else that people need to consider as well. Again, when I first started, super naive to all of this, I thought I was going to be spending all of my time inside a booth all the time. Don't laugh at me. But it's true. That's what I thought. I
Oh, she's gone. She's
gone.
gone off.
Yeah, she's gone. Oh, should I wait until she comes back?
It's just funny because you spend so little time in the booth.
And that's exactly what I was going to say.
So little.
What is it, like 5% of your career is actually spent in front of a mic?
Like actually doing the acting part.
Actually doing the acting part,
Mad.
actually doing the voicing. I was really disappointed when I found out I had to do
By
other
the
stuff.
way, my photography business is the same,
Yeah.
right? Like I have a photography business and it's good. It works really well for me. And I spend more time in front of a computer editing and producing the images and emailing people and doing all the stuff. It's probably like I probably spend 20% of the time spent on my photography business actually taking photos.
Yeah.
Like doing the fun part, the quote unquote fun part. Yeah.
Yeah. The
Yeah.
bit that I got into it for.
Yeah.
And this is why I say it's impossible to earn money without like having all of that other structure in place.
Mm.
So you have to be aware of those kinds of things. Why do we think that this like success, because the success does happen, right? Why do we think that it happens for some people and not for others? Like there's people out there that do all of the training, they work really hard, they do lots and lots of professional and personal development, they try really hard, they do all the marketing, they do all the things, and they're not necessarily hitting the success that they want to have. And then there's other people that have a nice voice and did a single run of a piece of community theatre 25 years ago and like it all just falls into place. Why does that happen? What are your thoughts on that?
Oh,
It's one of the mysteries of life.
one of the
I feel like
mysteries.
if we knew the answer to that, like as a society, then a lot more people could be a lot more successful.
Yeah.
I don't know if there is one answer to that. Like, oh, well, this person did all the right things. I think you could still do all the quote right things and not get successful overnight. There is also the adage that I think, okay, so those people are the exception to the rule, but they often say that it takes 20 years to make a overnight success. And so, even the people who I think are like in the right place at the right time, I feel like that's probably still just only a portion of their story, because you have to think back, like we've said before on this podcast, when you come to this job or any job, you're bringing everything that you've ever experienced with you.
Yeah.
And it's not just poof, I'm here.
Nope.
Now I'm, doing all these great things. Nobody poofs.
No,
I don't know anybody that poofs.
Luck is a combination of timing and preparation.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's what luck is, right? You've got to
Yes.
be in the right place at the right time. And sometimes it's about knowing the right people and all that kind of stuff. But there has to be preparation in place as well. You can know all the right people and you can be in the right place. And if you're not prepared to step into the opportunity, it just doesn't happen for you anyway, right? So there's that concept of being prepared, and that takes time, right?
Yeah.
It takes awareness, it takes focus. And then also there's this other idea that if you're doing all the right in quotation marks things, right, and it's not working for you, I would say that means you're not actually doing all the right things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Have a look at your system and go, what am I not doing? What's missing?
And
or
there's
get
some
somebody to help
really-
you with your system.
Exactly. But look, there's some really simple things to look at, right? Like, do you have the skills? Are you good enough, right, to be in the market that you're trying to promote yourself in? Does your demo adequately represent what you can do? And can you replicate what's on your demo, right?
Yeah.
Are you putting all of yourself and your stuff in front of the right people in the right place? All of those things have to come together. And if you're doing all of these things, but you're marketing yourself into the wrong environment and your skills aren't where they need to be, or they're, you're just not talking to the right people in the right space, then things won't work.
I also think it's kind of the skill of recognizing the opportunity when it comes along, because a lot of people will have opportunities that come to them and not recognize them as opportunities, or get too scared, and their first automatic response is a defensive one, and it's no. You know what I mean? Like, that's their first automatic defensive response. Oh, no, I couldn't do that.
I call that lack of preparation, by the way.
Yeah?
Yep.
I call that a lack
could
of self-confidence.
Yeah.
But that's what preparation does for you.
Yeah.
But
you be prepared, you'll have more confidence.
Yeah.
Right. And if you have the confidence and these opportunities are presented to you, then you will jump on them.
You'll take
Like, for
action.
example, it would have been really easy when Tessa slid into my DMs for me to just click the ignore. Like, the no, ignore. But then, like, I think of all the wonderful opportunities that have come along because Tessa slid into my DMs and I was an open person, recognized the opportunity when I saw it and said yes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I think that that's a skill in and of itself.
Takes
not
courage
to toot my own
too,
horn too much, but
right? No, that's amazing. It takes a lot of courage, right? Like, I think also, in addition, part of that preparation is practicing acting even when you're frightened.
Yes. Yeah.
Bravery.
Like, you've got to build that muscle to be able to take on opportunities. Preparation isn't about being perfectly ready, right? Preparation is about getting yourself in a place where you can, right?
Yeah.
Even if you're scared, even if you're not 100% sure how it's going to turn out, even if you don't know if you're completely ready to like do the thing that's in front of you, saying yes anyway, right, is a skill that you build. And I think that's part of preparing yourself to be in this kind of space.
Yeah. I love saying, I mean, I really feel, I feel like I'm really glad that I'm someone who's able to say yes to a lot of things. But I also, it's a double-edged sword, because sometimes you say yes to the wrong things and then and then
that's
you're
part
like,
of the learning process, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's part of your learning process, and that means you're more prepared next time.
Yeah.
More preparation, right? Like, like, that's the thing. It's not about like, I'm just going to sit over here really quietly and prepare myself, right? Preparation is actually an active thing. It's not passive at all. It's not a wait until the right opportunity walks up to you and smacks you on the head and says, here, take this, right? Preparation is active. It's moving. It's being in things. It's practicing all of the different bits and pieces that you need, and making sure that your mind is open and your heart is open, and you're giving as much to the space as what you're hoping you'll be able to get from the space. You know?
Yeah.
That's what I reckon preparation
I love
is
that.
anyway.
That was lovely.
I love that preparation. Yeah. I want to be, I don't know. You guys have the Boy Scouts over there? I don't know if that's a thing.
Oh,
where you
I don't
are.
know.
But we don't have them, but we've got equivalents, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, that's like the thing that's like the Boy Scout like thing, like be prepared, like always be prepared. So that's what it reminds me of. But it's like, it's true. I love that's how you equate that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I think that's my dad. Like, I'm just channeling my father. He was he would always call it serendipity, but really he's a highly pragmatic human, right? And so that, like, serendipity sounds woo-woo and magic, but actually he's like, no, it's like opportunity meets preparation.
Yeah.
Right. Serendipity. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. Hey, should we do sounds I can't make?
Yay!
Are we ready?
I think we should.
Are we ready?
Yeah, I think we're ready.
Are y'all ready?
Are y'all ready
for this?
Dun-dun-dun.
That was awesome. You guys are so great. I'm so happy you did that.
I'm never ready for any of it, to be honest.
Hi, Jordan. How you doing?
We
I'm
haven't
back.
heard from you at all so far
well,
this
I
episode.
haven't needed the horn. I need more excuses to blow that horn.
Maybe you should just every now and again blow it.
Just for
like,
fun. I
"Hi."
almost did in the last episode. I almost did.
You should.
I thought about it. Instead of raising
Opportunity.
my hand, just blow.
Jordan, preparation.
When the opportunity comes along, you gotta grab it.
Yeah. I didn't have it in my
horn,
hand
blow
because
it.
I wasn't prepared.
Exactly.
So I missed my moment.
Exactly.
Exactly.
All right, cool. Sounds I can't make. Dun, da-da.
Dun,
Here we
dun,
go.
dun, dun. Now, Jordan's going to be upset with my recording again. It's a really terrible quality. I'm so sorry. So this is from one of my favorite television shows of all time. I was a massive Scrubs fan.
Oh, I love that show.
Loved Scrubs. Does anyone remember Josephine the nurse or the doctor, the intern? Josephine the intern.
I don't know. You'll have to play it. I'm sure.
No.
I
You have to
recognise
play
when
it.
you play
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So I'm going to have to play the first little bit, and then I have to skip a little bit because I couldn't find a clip of just her, and I wasn't allowed to download it and fix it. So, here we go. Listen.
Dr. Cox, we heard that you were waiting for the pediatrician.
Remember our
Okay. Now I'm going to skip forward.
Holy
now I'm going to skip
shit.
forward.
Is she like 5 years old? Like, what the hell?
Well, you would think so by the sounds of her. And then here we go. Here goes the next bit.
deal with it.
Yeah, we're your doctors.
Why don't you always talk that way?
Because it hurts my throat too much.
Right. So the high pitch up here is how she normally
Yeah.
talks. And she drops down here to sound important and doctory.
Yes, in the character, I
Yes.
suspect in real life she is the other way around. But yeah, so that is Josephine, the intern. Now I know we've done similar sounds like the baby crying
baby,
and
yeah.
that sort of thing. But what I found interesting was that she was able to sustain there and talk, not just make like sounds.
Noises.
Yeah.
And there's the interesting thing about that for me is there's like emotional content in the delivery as well. There's nuance in the delivery. And often when we push ourselves into a vocally challenging space, we find it really, really hard to express emotion through our
Yes.
voice.
Oh, yeah.
Because the structure gets in the way of nuance and little granular kinds of shifts in how we express ourselves.
Yes.
But she still had shifts in there.
Yeah, she did. She did, which I find absolutely incredible. I also just find the scene hilarious. But so the first thing she says is, Dr. Cox, I hear you're waiting for the pediatrician. So that's what she's saying. So should I play that first bit again so that we
Okay,
can?
yeah, play it one
Yeah.
more time.
Okay, here we go.
Dr. Cox, we heard that you were waiting for the
Please.
pediatrician.
God.
How?
Dr. Cox, I hear you're waiting for the pediatrician.
That was it.
Okay, let's all just go home, eh?
We're just going home.
Ashton's done it.
Job done.
Apparently it's a sound that
Episode over.
Ashton can make.
I just have a very naturally high voice. It's so
Yeah.
easy for me to slip
didn't
into that
sound
like
hard
high.
at all.
No.
Yeah, no, it's like that's why. I mean, I've been told a lot that like that's why I do very good in like animation spaces
Animation.
is because I can
Mm.
get those. I can get to those high places really easy. It's like how I talk to my dog. If I'm being honest, like that's how I talk to my dog.
Oh,
This is
that's
why you
so
have
funny.
animals and talk to them. You find
Yeah.
your core character voices by talking to your animals.
I reckon if my I wasn't interested in animation at all when my kids were little babies, and I'm really disappointed because they're too old now. And when I talk to them in voices, they yell at me like, "Stop it, Mum! That's awful." I don't know. I don't think I can do that. I don't think
Neither.
my voice goes that high and still has support and kind of structure. Like when you're in that voice, it still sounds like an actual speaking voice.
Yeah.
I think when I go there, it's just going to sound screechy and head voicey.
Could you set with the baby positioning first? Would that like?
Can we
would
get
that
remind me about the baby positioning?
high, really, really high flat tongue? So like running the line of the palate almost, and really nasal.
I hear you. Something, Dr. Cox.
Can't remember the words.
Dr. Cox, I heard you were waiting for the pediatrician.
Dr. Cox, I heard you're waiting for the pediatrician.
Can you hear how it breaks?
Yeah.
Up there?
So, have you ever do you sing, Deanna? Are you a singer?
Yeah, sort of. Not
Do you
a-
sing? Do you sing in have you ever sang in a falsetto voice?
Yeah, but I'm not very good at it.
Oh, see, that's where I think how I can get there so easily is because I often can sing in my falsetto my falsetto space, and so the transition from doing that to this high voice is easy.
Is
for me
easy,
that way.
right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
for
so
me
cool.
it's like, see, this is my falsetto voice and I've got no range up here. I can't
Yeah.
do anything up there. I just can't.
Yeah.
It's just like this really narrow band of sound being produced with very little. I can feel that the muscles on my vocal folds are just stuck in one place, and I've got no capacity for them to move around up there. My range is super limited, or my dynamic range inside that part of my range.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
That's
All
so
right.
interesting.
Did Tessa go? Has Tessa attempted?
No.
No.
All right. I think it's her turn then.
Oh, okay. All right. So I always have to get myself more comfortable before I do
You
this.
did this big physical reset, bit of a wiggle.
Get myself ready. So I'm going to go into the baby sound, I think, first. Hi, Dr. Cox. See, I feel like I can't get that height either.
Yeah.
Yeah, my voice is going to go out in that space.
Dr. Cox, I hear you're waiting for the pediatrician.
Oh, that's good. That was
That was-
okay.
yeah, that was pretty good.
It's not quite as high though, is it?
No, it is. It's just it sounds constrained. It sounds like
Oh,
you're
yeah?
really
Okay.
reaching.
All right.
Like
All
it
right.
sounds, yeah.
Yes.
All right, let's get some more space then. So,
Dr. Cox, I hear you're waiting for the pediatrician.
less pressed or more pressed?
I think less pressed, but
it
less
felt-
less movement in it as well.
Okay,
Like it was
okay.
narrower. Did you hear that?
Yeah,
Ashton?
yeah.
Like it didn't
Yeah,
have
yeah.
the same. It didn't have the same movement.
All right, let's try that one more time because I think I found the space, which is weird.
Yeah.
Finding space. Oh, is it gone? You know when you go to do something, it's
Yeah.
just like no.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
stops.
Dr. Cox, I think. Wait, no, I can't remember what she says. Dr. Cox, I hear you're waiting for the pediatrician.
Hey, that was pretty good.
That was pretty
I
good.
think, and when you were speaking, oh, I can't remember, blah 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 blah. That
stayed
sounded
there.
really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. Oh, that was fun.
What
and
did you
I
do?
find-
What did you
Oh,
do?
so
Can you talk me
that-
through that?
Yeah, cool. So for
So
anybody,
Tessa used her pointer fingers, right, on her throat, and she moved some things around. So she's going to show me how to do that now.
Like
There.
she
What
moved
do I
them
press on?
physically with her fingers.
Yeah, with her
Yeah.
fingers.
So what I did there, a lot of the times when I'm learning a technique of some description and I know I need to find something somewhere, so if I need to remember to have lots of jaw height, particularly when I'm doing an American accent, I stick my finger in my jaw to remember that I need to get some depth. So what I was doing there is that I was going, okay, I need to find some space in the base of my tongue so that I'm not completely compressing the base of my tongue onto the top of my larynx and getting
because
really
you're
squeezed.
lifting your larynx so much to get up into that higher space.
Yeah, so what I was doing was that I was going, okay, I'm up nice and high, but my fingers are helping me to think wide.
Oh, why?
So I wasn't actually manipulating anything. It's a biofeedback
Right,
thing.
right.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
so the shape that you're trying to make is wide, but also high.
Yeah, so I'm going narrow in the pharyngeal space, and then I'm going wide across the pharyngeal space. So I'm shortening
that
and
feels really weird.
widening rather than going.
Yeah, and then compressing in. Now you can hear that compression and all of that
Yeah.
feels really tight. Whereas if I
Yeah.
start to pull it out that way,
It goes in the other direction. So this is purely biofeedback, shoving my fingers in there.
Yeah, right. I thought you were actually moving things. That's so
No,
interesting.
no.
I just don't think I've got any. Like as soon as I go up there, you can hear it starts getting really breathy. Like
Yeah.
I just
Can-
at the moment, and I'm sure if I trained it, I'd be able to develop more control up there. But I don't have any reason to spend time up there.
Well, I have a thing. I'm probably going to have to back the fuck off of my mic, but
Okay, cool.
sorry,
This
Jordan.
is gonna be fun.
So you know the Kristen Linklater. I always get her name. Is it Kristen or is it Kirsten? Kristen Linklater, and she has the chain of resonance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So what I find really helpful finding, because sometimes if I move through my range and go up into that top range, because it's not very comfortable for me either, I find it breaks because I'm processing through it. Whereas if I just go straight to her last one and go, off the top and go that way. I can go,
and find it that way because I've gone straight up there.
you know what I mean?
Oh.
Yeah, so rather than processing through, because your lower range is so strong,
Yeah.
I think you're better off to just bypass it and go, I'm just going to go straight for that top note.
And then find that position
How
and
does-
stay
how do you do-
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it already sounds freer.
And stay there.
It still breaks a little bit, though.
That
It still
initial
breaks,
bit
but-
sounded much stronger, though. And just
Yeah.
because if you can go, then it's easier to
Jordan's having nightmares over here.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
I'm just gonna. As soon as I start talking, though,
Yeah.
like so.
Yeah.
I can hang out up in there,
Yeah.
right?
So
But-
let's. Oh, I want to see if we can get there.
Okay.
Jordan, are we allowed? Are we allowed? We got time?
I'm just enjoying pointing at your forehead and then going whee into the air, and then some weird shit happens, and it's just all normal, really.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's good.
All right. So what we're gonna do? We're
Another
gonna break
day
it
in the
down
office.
Yeah.
Another day in the Good Talkers office.
because this stuff is my jam. This is what I love
yeah,
so
do it.
much.
Do me.
So
Do me.
So, yeah, man. So we're gonna go. Yay! And we're gonna hold you there, and then I just want you to do. Yay! So we're just gonna siren on that, and just we
Okay.
get a little bit of movement in your pitch, just a little
Okay.
bit. So. Cool. Great. Now we're going to try a harder vowel.
That was harder.
So there's
It's
one of your
hard.
breaks. So what will happen is that when you go down into speech and you've got an R vowel because it's lower and more open,
Yeah.
you'll lose that positioning. So we're going to go. And I want you to slowly roll onto the R
Into the R.
from the E. From the
Yeah,
E. Use
okay.
the position of the E to drop that way. There we go.
Oh,
Holding
but
it
then
way
when I
better.
went back to the E, it broke.
Yeah, so we're going to go, rather than staccato, da 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 da, we're going to go, smooth.
All right. All right.
That was better. I think what
Oh,
I
have
can
to
hear,
really control it.
what I can hear is your tongue dropping too far on the R. So as you go to move on to an R, I want you to imagine, because can you go E for me really highly? And you've got that really high tongue raise.
E. Yeah.
Yeah, what I want you to do, rather than think of the R being a dropped vowel, I want you to think of it as a rolled forward vowel. Because then we're going to create space at the, but yeah, there it goes. Bang on, baby. Yes! There it is. And then we're going to go, there it is, there it is. And
That's
then what
cool.
we're going to go is we're going to go,
And then Deanna, I want you to go
fuck yeah.
All right.
Oh my God.
Well, I'm done now. That was
Deanna,
amazing,
you
though.
nailed it.
That tongue positioning thing was really interesting. And my voice sounds and feels different right now.
Oh.
Yeah, it should do, because we've lifted into a new space. But also when you were moving up and doing it the way that you were doing, we were getting a lot of break and a lot of breathing, which
Yeah.
would have felt tiring and fatigued.
Yeah.
Because we were able to shift it into a space where it wasn't that, those other muscles would have gone boom and
Yeah,
fucked
everything
off and
feels
gotten-
really open and relaxed right now.
Mhm.
Really
This is what
interesting.
I love. Oh, that's so cool.
Oh, that was really fun. That was really fun. Oh, that was great. So there you go. Good Talker crew, peeps out there. That's what happens when you work with someone who manipulates your vocal position. That was amazing. Oh, that was good. Hire Tessa, people. It was amazing.
Yeah, seriously, hire her.
Hire Tessa.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
That was so cool.
Oh, I'm so
I
pleased.
actually can't believe how different my whole oral tract feels. My vocal
You
tract
sound
feels now.
brighter and lighter, funnily enough.
You do, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
isn't that funny? Right?
Yeah.
I don't feel like my pitch has lifted at
No.
all. In fact, I feel like maybe my pitch has dropped a little bit. Maybe, right?
Fractionally.
Fractionally.
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
everything feels so open. I just feel like I've got cavernous space at the back of my mouth.
I love that. And
I
that's
hope
because
that-
we changed the vowel, yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
I hope that the people who are listening, like maybe like played along with some of that.
Oh, that would be
And,
great,
like,
wouldn't it?
Yeah, that would
And
be
if
so.
you
I would love to
didn't,
know. Yeah.
Hit rewind, right? Like
Yeah.
just go back like 5 minutes or however long that took. It might have been 10.
fucking ages.
Whatever Jordan edits it down to, right?
It was never in there. What are you talking about?
Just go back to the start. Listen again. Do that along with me as many times as it takes to have that experience. And
Yeah.
and it really felt very, very different for me. Once we moved into that like high tongue forward and I didn't let my tongue drop down, I had way more capacity to move around in there. It felt much, much freer. It was easy. And now I like in the space of 15 minutes, I've gone from like, no, I can't do high pitched voices to like, oh shit, maybe I can.
I
Maybe
think
I
you
can do that.
definitely can. Yeah, just keep practicing. I think you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing Pikachu.
Look
They're going
out,
to be calling you
Pikachu.
up.
I'm coming
to do
for ya.
Pikachu in a minute.
I'm going to have to put up the whole bit of that segment. So, because what'll be really helpful and what you didn't see if you're just listening to it is that I was doing a lot of hand gesturing and
Yeah,
a lot of.
heaps. Yeah.
So that's a really core way of how I teach. So I need you to be able to see what my hands are doing because that's it's biofeedback for your body to do certain things. So we'll put up the whole thing and
Yeah.
people try it. Film yourself doing it. Film,
Yes.
film.
Stitch,
Yeah.
stitch.
Definitely, definitely.
All right, great. So that, Jordan nearly got away with it again.
Yeah.
We got so carried away.
Yeah, you guys like doing this, don't you?
Yeah, we really do.
You can never go around the whole circle and come back, can you? Just gets through three of you and then you have it get carried away and then I get
It
dumped
happens
in it
every
at the
time.
end. Yeah.
And every time I think to myself, right, we'll do Jordan before we start playing with anything else. And it just never happens that way. Sorry, Jordan.
What are the words?
Dr. Cox, I hear you're waiting for the pediatrician.
Oh my god. I actually I sing a bit and I really struggle with I play around with a bit of high stuff when I'm like doing when I'm like doing backing vocals or something because I know that it shouldn't be front and center because it's something I'm chipping away at. But naturally I'm right at the bottom, so I don't know.
The
how
forward
this will
thing
go.
works. That
I
gets
think
you
I
up
need
there.
to say like the first two words and like you guys do and then set like where you're at.
Yes.
I don't know,
Yeah.
I've noticed you guys do that a lot where you like repeat the first couple or try and find it straight
Yeah.
away.
Mm.
Dr.
Dr.
Cox.
Cox, is it?
Yeah.
Dr. Cox.
That was great.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
fucking
Good.
terrible.
Go again. Go again.
Is is it higher than that or is it?
Yeah. So can you do that same thing? So it's a K-E-E. Key.
Key.
Cool. And change your face shape for me. I need you to smile the fuck out of it.
Key.
Good job. That's all right. It's part of the process. And then, Key, Dr. Cox.
Key, Dr. Cox.
It was
What does he
clear.
sound like?
It
What does
was
he sound like?
good.
Oh, God, that sounded so much like. I can't think of what the character is right now, but that was like, oh, man, some children's animated thing. Do that
Oh,
again.
Jordan, you could be a child animation character.
Do it again. Do it again.
Key.
Key, Dr. Cox.
I think it's just Mickey Mouse.
Oh, it is a little Mickey Mouse.
It's just me, mate. It's just me.
No,
It's
I
my-
heard something else in that as
my
well.
dreaming
Did you?
voice. It's my voice when I'm sleeping.
Can you try and do the whole sentence, Jordan?
Yeah. What is it? We're waiting for the pediatrician.
Yeah.
Key, Dr. Cox, you waiting for the pediatrician?
That's fantastic. No, it sounds like something. I'm going to have to think on that. I'm
It does
you know,
sound a little Mickey Mouse. Like
It
Yeah.
does sound Mickey
a
Mouse,
little
but I'm
Mickey Mouse.
getting like SpongeBob vibes somehow. I don't know exactly
Gee,
what
Dr.
it is, but
Cox. Is it?
I feel not SpongeBob the character, but from the show. I feel like there's
Somebody
someone
from
in
the show.
that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Could be wrong though.
Jordan, you did great.
Yeah, that was awesome.
I'll
Jordan.
take it. You guys just prop me up every time.
We'll have you being a
support. I rate
voiceover
it.
artist,
I rate it.
making
Morals.
$15,000 a week.
I know.
Yeah.
You know, in no time.
$15,000 a
calm
You
minute
guys convinced me
in
to
your
change my career.
pajamas
Yeah.
on the toilet.
I'm going back to bed.
On the toilet.
Let's try and make it as stupid and ridiculous as possible.
Yeah.
$15,000 every 10 seconds, and you can do it on the toilet. Anyway, I think that's a good point to wrap. I think this has been
casually.
such a fun show. It's been really, really cool. Doing that high-pitched voice has been quite enlightening for me. I really appreciate that process. Thank you, Tessa. That was so
You're
fun.
welcome.
And Ashton, you are just a freaking pro
Yeah,
at
no,
that stuff.
Mm.
It's really amazing hearing how easily and effortlessly, and I know it's like it hasn't been effortless. I know you've put effort into developing that,
Yeah.
but it just sounds so effortless. And that's really inspiring for me to hear someone do something with no perceivable effort in it. Because for me, that's mastery, right? Mastery is when you can do a thing and everyone looks at it and goes, wow, that must be easy because that looks really easy. And I think that's a really actually like a key part of this whole $15,000 a month from your bed, right?
Yeah.
Voiceover looks easy. It really
Yeah.
does. And people think, oh, it's talking, right? And we all know that it's not talking. And
not.
but it looks easy, right? It looks literally like some people are just sitting in front of a microphone saying some stuff. But once you're in it, you realize there's an extraordinary amount of work that goes into it. And it's not just the voiceover part. Like we've talked about today, it's running a business, it's marketing yourself, it's understanding the difference between being a freelancer and having an agent and building those relationships and building long-term client-like relationships and building a base of work. That's what turns $15,000 a month into a career. Right.
Yeah.
And maybe like sometime down the track, you'll get to a point where you're earning $15,000 a month, or maybe you'll have a $15,000 month. They're really, really fun, right? Like you do a big job and bang, there it goes. Like, woo, right? But it takes time. And I think it's really important that everyone kind of like really holds on to that fact that whilst it might look easy, it's not. It's the duck. You know,
Yeah.
It's like looks all calm on the surface and underneath those little legs, they're going batshit fucking crazy. Right?
Yeah.
That's what this is. So thank you for today, everyone. That was super, super fun. And thanks for listening and being with us. And we really want to see you do the sound that, you know, two of us can make and two of us can't, right? I reckon, Tessa, you're in the can-do pile, I reckon, this week. So, yeah, make sure you share your stuff with us. We want to see you make all the noises that we can't make or we can make. We just want to see your versions of them. It's really fun. We absolutely love it. We get such a thrill out of seeing you participate in this process. It's really, really cool for us. And, you know, if you've got any questions about VO or stories about VO or even ideas about things that you want us to talk about on the podcast, make sure that you let us know. You can email us, you can send us a voice note, you can write it, whatever you want, to thegoodtalkerspodcast@gmail.com. So, you know, send us your bits and pieces. You can follow us on Instagram and TikTok and Facebook and all of the social places. Just, you know, look for the Good Talkers podcast and you will find us. So, yeah, that's it from us. Any final like little bits that you guys want to chuck in before we wrap for today?
No, that was fun to talk about. I love you
Yeah.
guys. This is such a fun podcast. I just love being here. That's all.
Yeah.
Me too.
Oh, love fest. Woo! All right. Thanks so much for joining us today. Thanks, crew. Thanks, team. It's been awesome. We will see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye.
See ya.